Thanks for listening to the Swearing In podcast, where you'll hear the origin stories of those who chose to serve. So ground your gear, take a seat, and listen up. The Swearing In podcast starts right now.
Hello and welcome to the Swearing In podcast. I am your host, Marty Smith, and today I speak with Marine Lance Corporal Samuel Myers. Sam grew up in Ventura, California and graduated high school in 1984. After a brief time at the Philadelphia Phillies camp, Sam took a job in offshore drilling. He decided that 3 years of that backbreaking work was enough and went to see the Marines recruiter in Ventura, California. In June 1989, he went to MCRD Sand Diego for boot camp under an open contract. His MOS became 0811 Field Artillery Cannoneer, and his first assignment was the 3rd Battalion, 11th Marine Regiment in 29 Palms, California in 1990. During his unit's UDP to Okinawa, Iraq invaded Kuwait. So Sam and his unit were then sent to Kuwait, where he saw action in Desert Storm and the Battle of Khafji. After the Gulf War and a brief time back at home at 29 Palms, his unit was sent to Mogadishu, Somalia for Operation Restore Hope. After spending 36 months in combat zones, Sam exited active duty in July 1993. Now this concludes your pre-brief, so let's get on with the interview. Well, today I'm joined by Marine Lance Corporal Samuel Myers. Sam, thanks for joining me and thanks for telling your story, man. I appreciate it.
Glad to be here. Thanks for wanting to, spend some time with me to get to know a little bit about me and my service to the Marine Corps.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to all these stories. So, where'd you grow up, Sam?
So I grew up in a town called Ventura, California.
Oh, Ventura, jeez.
Yeah, kind of right there on the beach, but I wasn't a beach guy. I was a athlete the whole way growing up.
Oh, yeah.
So,
wow, a lot of volleyball out there on Ventura Beach to get you going, right? A lot of volleyball and bikinis, I suppose, right?
Yeah, there was that, but I was so uber focused on. I was a baseball and football guy.
Oh, you are?
Yeah. So,
where was Muscle Beach? Was that
Venice?
Is that north or south of Ventura?
That would be south of that would be south of Ventura.
Okay.
So north of Ventura is like you go into Carpinteria and Santa Barbara, and when you start going south, you got Malibu and
I got you.
On into LA, Santa Monica, all that.
Where's Huntington?
Huntington's south, Newport, Orange County.
Okay. So baseball and football. So that's you're doing that in high school, right? Where'd you go to high school at?
So I went to high school and ended up going to high school in three different high schools. Family moved up to a place called Bakersfield, California, and I went to high school up there. I went to Highland High and West High in Bakersfield, and then I ended up when mom and dad got divorced when I was 15. And
that's age. Yeah, that's tough.
And I ended up in a place called Baytown, Texas.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
But all of this during high school?
Yeah. So I went to 3 high schools in 4 years.
God dang.
But still a starter on, varsity and football and baseball. I mean, I was a freshman starter in varsity baseball and football.
Wow.
Then all the way through.
Were you infield guy or you a pitcher?
So third base.
Hot corner, huh?
Yep, third base. But I moved over to third base because some guy named Robin Ventura.
My God, really?
Yeah, some guy named Robin was shortstop with me.
Well, he moved to Milwaukee though, right?
Yeah, he's the one that rushed Nolan Ryan and got
Oh, that Nolan got the uppercut on when he came out there? Oh, no kidding. That was great. That was a great one. Yeah.
I called him that night, and I'm like, Robin, what the you thinking? The guy wrestles cows.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
right. Nolan Ryan's a big farm guy, right?
Yeah, and from Alvin, Texas, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, dude, there's other guys.
Right.
There's other guys, and you
Yeah, go
drop your
take
bat.
out go rush Maddox or
Yeah,
somebody like that. That's the guy you want to rush,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean, you dropped your bat and you went, chase down a guy that wrestles steers and cows.
And oh, by the way, throws 100 miles an hour too. So,
Oh, by the way,
wow, that's crazy. So you must have had your eye on a scholarship or something like that coming out of high school, right?
yeah, another couple guys, Randall Cunningham,
Oh, jeez.
Randall's was quarterback for
Yeah.
us. Off my Pop Order football team, we had 6 starters in the NFL, and off my little league team, we had 5 starters in the major leagues. So yeah,
Wow.
I mean, I was drafted by the Phillies out of high school. So I mean, that was my whole thing. I was going to be the next big thing in baseball or football. I thought, what I mean.
Yeah.
Reality finally, sunk in. When I knew I couldn't hit a slider. So
Oh God, yeah.
when I
Right.
couldn't hit a slider, that kind of changed things up for me quite a bit.
Whenever you hit that class and you step up in that class and you're like, okay, I'm ready to take these guys down, and you're like, oh my God, these guys are
Yeah, next level, and I mean next level, and and the minute anybody knows that they're, especially in baseball, that there's an out pitch on you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Next,
Sure.
you know what I mean?
Right,
You just got to be next level to be able to sustain if you have a out pitch. So to
Yeah.
speak.
Sure. I understand. All right. So what did you go to A-ball? Did you go to their camp or?
So it was in Darby, Pennsylvania, Upper
Yeah.
Darby, Havertown area, and I wasn't going to go to the show.
Yeah.
No reason to stick around.
Yeah. And keep trying, because there are guys who will spend years and years, right?
Yeah, I mean,
on that minor league salary, which.
Yeah, and back then you weren't getting any younger, and the pay wasn't going up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. So you were real Bull Durham life there for a little bit, right?
For a little bit, and then I started working offshore. Did offshore drilling. I transitioned into, my whole family's oil field, so
okay.
So I transitioned into working offshore. Started off as a roustabout, and then worked up to be a roughneck, and then worked up to be a derrick hand on a triple, which is a top drive drilling rig.
Where were you doing this out of?
Santa Barbara Channel. I was flying out of Goleta on a helicopter.
Sheesh.
Flying out platform harvest. Was 7/12. Was working 84 hours a week, 7 days on, 7 days off.
Pretty good money though for the
it's pretty
time
good money
you're putting in.
But when you're a young man, I mean, I was 20, so from 20 to 23 that's kind of what I did that for 3 years. But I found myself, getting off the rig after 7 days of working hard, right to partying hard, and
right.
I'd end up in Cabo or I'd end up somewhere, and
oh man,
then show up at the helicopter and
just as long as you were back on your time, right?
Yeah, just as long as you were back, when you had to catch the helicopter. So
my God.
Yeah, what a life, right?
What a life, yeah. When'd you graduate? Did you graduate 85?
84.
Oh, 84. All right. So you're doing this, you're breaking your back, but you're drinking it all away. How's the military creep in to you?
Well, I always, nothing for me has ever been easy in life. I used to say I was self-made, but the older I've become, I realize just how much I rely on God, and I'm God-made.
Yeah. You don't realize it at the time, right? But
no,
because I've done the same thing. I'm like, ooh, hey, thanks for all those times that I barely made it out of there. So.
Yeah, I mean, I can. That's a whole nother story. That whole 20-year-old to 23-year-old. That's something to unpack at another time. But
sounds like.
So I was doing that for 3 years, from 20 to 23, and I went to the helicopter the last time, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? And
Oh, you had the aha moment, huh?
yeah,
You
I just said to myself, because there was other things I was doing that was not really nice.
Oh.
And let's just say I said, well, I'm tired of this life.
Yeah.
I always wanted to be a Marine. I always wanted,
Really?
I always wanted just the challenge. I mean, because I played at a high level in sports, and I was a middle linebacker, and I wore number 51, which is Dick Butkus' number.
Oh,
and,
nice. Yeah, yeah.
And I thought I was Dick Butkus, and I mean, I played strong side linebacker. Um, anyway, I played.
Yeah, that's taking on a lot of guys coming after you. So
yeah, and I mean, I'm 5'9", 235. So I'm not. But I'm not 6'2", 250. Everybody else say, anyway. So yeah, 5'9", 235, undersized linebacker, but probably one of the best you'll ever see play linebacker.
Oh,
I just love football, love baseball.
Yeah.
But I had to work at it, and I worked at it hard.
Yeah.
And that's why I love the Marine Corps, because of the challenge. I looked at the Air Force, I looked at the Army, I looked at the Navy, and it just always. I'm one of those kind of guys. I have to be that tip of the spear kind of guy. I have to be right in the middle of it.
Sure.
And it's just my personality type. And so I got on the helicopter that last time. I'm like, you know what? When I get off this bitch, when I get off this 7 days, I'm gonna go see a Marine recruiter. And
why the military? Why wasn't there any I'm going to try another job? I'm going to try something else civilian-wise. You went straight to the military.
Well, that's a good question. It was one of them deals where I also needed to make sure I was somewhere safe. Yeah. And because there were some other things going on in my life that potentially could have went the wrong way.
Okay. All right.
And I saw the writing on the wall, so to speak.
Oh, nice. Well, a lot of guys don't get that. So in a way, you're lucky that you had that moment.
Yeah, there was some other stuff going on that I was participating in that wasn't real nice. And
sure.
So I had that epiphany, that aha moment. I'm like, I'm not getting any younger.
Yeah.
I'm going to miss the window. And oh, by the way, if I don't go, there could be some real legal ramifications coming my way.
Okay. All right. Now we're talking.
Yeah. Some real shit.
So you get done with that 7-day shift. God, 7/12. Wow. And you go into recruiter?
Yeah. I go in.
Where was that at? Where'd you go see the recruiter?
It was in Ventura.
Oh, it was. Okay.
Yeah.
I got thrown by when you went to Texas.
Because
you graduated out of Ventura, and then you were working offshore out of Ventura.
Because I went back. I went back to California.
Oh, all right.
When I was 20 to go work offshore.
Okay.
And that was because of some of my dad's relationships in the oil field.
I got
it. So I went back, and like I said, from 20 to 23. And then, that last time, I just knew something was not right, and I felt I was going to lose my window to go in because of my age. So I went at 23, and I went into the Marine recruiter there in Ventura, and he looked at me. He's like, "How can I help you?" I said, "Well," how quick can you get me to, MEPS?"
Yeah.
And he's like,
"Hey, I got you.
You got me back?"
Yeah. We okay?
Yep. So talked to the Marine recruiter, and he looked at me, and he's like, "Have you been arrested? Is there something going on that I need to know about?" And I'm like,
"Sure.
No."
I guess that's a fair question. Yeah.
I said, "No." I said, "No. I've always wanted to be a Marine, and I'm ready to go in." And he says, "Well, you're kind of older than."
Yeah, right.
You're kind of older. How old are you? I said, "Well, I'm 23." And he says, "I said, how fast can you get me to MEPS? Can you get me there in 30 days?" He's like, "Can you pass a drug test?" I said, give me 3 days. So I said, I can't pass one right now, but I'll be back in 3 days and I'll be able to pass it. So we'll get back here in 3 days.
You chugging orange juice and everything else? So you...
He says, get back here in, 3 days. So
yeah,
that's what I did. And 3 days later, went in open contract.
Oh, wow. Did you take the, what was the damn test?
The ASVAB?
Yeah, ASVAB.
Yeah. So, I mean, I could have done, he said, the ASVAB, I could have had any job in the Marine Corps I wanted.
Oh, nice. Nice.
But you had to have, openings for the school,
Yeah.
and that would, hold you up from going to boot camp based on when you could go into your school, I'm like, I got to go now. So.
All right. So you went open contract, so your job's not going to be determined until sometime through boot, right?
Yeah, through boot, correct. Based on how you do a boot camp and so 30 days later I was standing on the yellow footprints.
No kidding. What year was that and where did you go?
So it was 1989.
Yeah.
June of 1989, and I went into MCRD San Diego.
Oh, nice. The quote unquote Hollywood Marine, right?
Hollywood Marine, correct.
You guys give each other such a ration of shit over that. It's great.
Yeah, at least I was in the Marine Corps and I wasn't in the air wing.
Yeah, right. Or the damn Navy. So
yeah.
Okay, so you step into boot in what, that summer?
Yeah. So June. So basically July of '89.
Wow. What's your first thoughts getting off the bus? Were you kind of preparing yourself anyway? And you're a little bit older, so you're not away from home for the first time like some of those kids.
Yeah,
right?
little bit older. Have been on teams my whole life and had coaches.
Yeah. So, yeah, they've had people call you a piece of dirt for a long time. Then. Yeah,
the mindfuck games I've had.
Right.
So,
right.
it was for me. It was a wake up call to and there was a lot of things that I was exposed to initially that I'm like, well, why didn't I get this at home? Why didn't I get?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A little bit of the structure, the discipline, the accountability,
Sure.
they talk about esprit de corps. A top level athlete doing what I did in athletics.
You had to have some discipline and some hard work effort or some hard work ethics there, right?
And taking care of your guy next to you and your six.
Yeah.
So anyhow, that there's a lot of PT, a lot of drill, a lot of
How about that? How was it running? I mean, I know you're an athlete, but athletes, your type of sport athletes are not long distance runners.
Yeah, so that's a great question, and the PFT at the time to get a 300 PFT, you had to run 3 miles under 18 minutes.
Right.
So that's
moving.
That was not something. I was not a guy that was running, a 5K every week.
Right.
I had to work at it.
I'm 5'8" myself, and we got to stride out. I think it's harder for us guys to run fast anyway.
Yeah.
So maybe, I don't know if you had those issues as well, but they're going to make you adapt to it, right?
Yeah. So it took me a good 45 days to be able to really, get my mile, in the area where I could be, because I wanted to be a 300 PFTer coming out of boot camp.
Yeah.
And at 23, when you hadn't been running like that, it took me a little bit, but I got there, and I was, I was a 300 PFTer coming out of boot camp.
Yeah, all the upper body stuff was probably easy for you, but but that running, boy, that no jokes. Whenever you see those big Marines in the movies, you're like, oh, that guy's huge, and you're like, that guy probably has trouble running.
Yeah.
you run into Rangers or SEALs, and those guys aren't beefy, because there's too much long distance in there to be that big.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, when'd you find out your job?
Found out, a month, or I should say about 3 weeks before graduation. They told me I was going to be an 0811. I'm like, what the fuck is an 0811?
Right.
And they said, artillery. I'm
No
like,
kidding.
yeah. So,
But you had no say into it, right? I mean,
no,
you
because I
went
was
to
open contract.
so yeah.
Even though my ASVAB score was off the roof, off the chain,
Yeah.
high, they just put you up a contract and you deal with it.
Yeah, right.
And when you're in your new job, I mean, or I should say your new MOS, you Army guys say jobs or Air Force guys.
Yeah.
No, you say MOS. Guys. You say MOS in Army.
Not Air Force. Air Force says job.
Yeah,
theirs is called an AFSC, but they say job. So
whatever. Just kidding, guys. So they tell me I'm going to go to Lawton, Oklahoma, and learn how to shoot artillery and fire. Call in, fire direction control and all that. So,
what did you go in? Did your training go? Were you on the gun? You were a forward observer. You're in the FTC. What did you do?
So I was.
Or they train you in everything. And then...
Yeah, trained just in everything, but I was on a gun.
Okay.
I was on a 198, which is a 155 howitzer.
The old Cannoneer hop. I was looking on the internet trying to find out that whole script. If you remember, I'm the number 1 man, I'm the number 3 man. That whole thing.
Just get the round in the chamber. And
right.
Make sure you got the powder and the azimuth. Make sure you got the coordinates right. And just shoot the fucker.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, those bubbles better be level. So
bubbles better. Yeah. Just give us the coordinates to make sure we dial the coordinates in. Make sure we have the proper charge. And
So the 198, which is what they assigned you to, and that's a 155 millimeter towed, right?
Correct.
What was your first assignment? Oh, wait. How long did you go? So it was like 6 months, right? Did you go 6 months to Fort Sill?
Yeah.
So you're getting out of there early 90, right?
Yep. Right. We're getting out of there right when Saddam was talking about possibly going into Kuwait.
Yeah. And I remember that time for it. And I paid no attention to it. I knew there was unrest, but there have been unrest in the Middle East for a long time. And it wasn't until he rolled over the line. It's like, holy, I guess he was serious.
Yeah. This time he was serious. This time he wasn't just firing scuds. This time he did the whole shebang. And actually when that happened, we were in Okinawa. We were in Japan.
Oh, wait. Before you get there, what? So you graduate out of Fort Sill, and where'd they stick you? What's your first assignment?
So 29 Palms is where we were at.
And who are you with?
311, Hotel 311.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now educate me. Is that how do the MEUs and the MEFs work?
Marine Expeditionary Unit, Marine Expeditionary Forces. So
right.
So a MEU is basically always on the water.
Oh, okay.
And it's a quick response, and anywhere I want to say 20 to 30,000 Marines. On the water, any one time.
I had no idea there was that many.
I could be wrong on my map, but if I'm not mistaken, it was the MEU was organized or created to be able to put 30,000 troops on the ground right now.
Yeah, dang, that's smart. Yeah. Where was your unit part of a MEU or a MEF, or am I screwing the whole organization?
No, at that time we were on what was called UDP, unit deployment.
Okay.
Into Okinawa for training in Okinawa, and then some cold weather training in Fuji.
Oh God! Wow.
So I climbed Mount Fuji twice while I was in Fuji. So we were it was Fuji. I love Japan, so we were doing cold weather training in Fuji. That's when I humped Fuji twice.
Yeah.
And
how high is Fuji?
I can't remember.
Okay, I'll look it up.
So when you're young and
Yeah.
in shape. Anyway, we would climb Fuji, then we'd get on a train and go down to Yokota or Yokosuka on a train and come back and run in the morning. It was just
wow,
just craziness. Anyway,
how long did UDP last then?
Typically, a unit deployment 6 months.
Okay,
and we were about. I want to say we were about 4 months into a 6 month pump or deployment when
now we're at Saddam, right?
Yeah, that's when Saddam invaded Kuwait, and then we were so there was already a MEU in the area.
Okay.
And then we were in Japan, and then they took us right into Riyadh.
So when that whole thing went down, right? Are they like, hey, don't call anybody? You guys are on the ship. No outside communication once you leave here, and that's it, right?
You're done.
Yeah, yeah. Because they can't risk it. They can't risk any leaks. They can't risk any of that stuff, right?
Yeah, you're done. You're done.
Wow. How long did it take you to steam from Okinawa over to the Middle East then?
It took about 3 weeks, two and a half weeks.
Wow.
On the water, and then and some of us flew in from March Air Force Base.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But that's, and also some of us flew in from Japan. So there was some on ship, some flying in.
What did you do? Were you on ship or did you fly in?
Flew in.
Okay. So now you step off in the desert. Jeez.
Yeah, there we were, and the whole thing was weapons of mass destruction, and all the training to get ready. So one of my biggest fear was being able to don and clear a gas mask fast enough.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So that was my biggest fear, and candidly, the first time we heard the sirens, I had that fucker on so fast. I was like,
really?
Yeah.
Did you guys normally? Was that part of your loadout normally?
As far as what the gas mask and
yeah, because I know the Army calls it TA-50. It was all part of our TA-50. We had to carry that damn thing everywhere.
Yeah, mops. Mops.
Yeah.
So,
but I didn't know if you guys had to also. So
yeah, had that with us the whole time. And
so Hussein rolls in August. I assume you guys get there September, October?
September, yeah.
Okay. Well, geez, now training's easy then because now you're in the thick of it, right?
Yep.
This is real world now.
Real world, out there with the Bedouins and the camels.
Oh God.
And
your camel, spider, scorpion fights, right?
Saddam had already started some fires. He'd already started some oil wells on fires.
Oh, he did. He did.
Yeah, there was some of that kind of stuff going on. So,
on a side note, I don't want to get ahead of us, but did you come back with any of that sick?
No,
syndrome stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm 100% disabled, PTSD, but that's a combination of Saudi, Somalia, and life.
Yeah, right. We got a long way to go for you. So, so let's get when did the damn air war start? Was that December?
So Desert Shield, I'm trying to remember. I may have been January.
Yeah.
We may, but I off from memory, I can't remember. I only, I really remember, just all the training up to the point of when we got to go for the ground war.
Yeah.
Everything we prepped. We prepped 4 months for the breach and for the ground war. And what is today? February 22nd.
Yeah.
So the ground war started on February 24th, and
right,
1991.
And you're right. Yeah, January 16th, the air war started.
Yeah, January. I want to say it was January. And,
I remember a buddy of mine who was over there, and he said after a couple of weeks of that, when they still kept going with that air war, you almost felt sorry for those guys because they were dropping so much ordnance.
I'm here to tell you, we were 50 miles from it.
Yeah.
The B-52s, the MLRSs, the F-16. I'm just telling you, OMG.
Really? Like literally ground shaking, right?
I feel the earth move under my feet. I feel the sky tumbling
Well,
down.
there's nothing that makes it more real than that,
Right.
I suppose, right?
It got real.
Yeah. Yeah.
All I could think about is, I'm fucking glad I'm not over there.
Yeah. No kidding. Right.
So, it was, I tell people all the time, when you talk about shock and awe,
yeah.
I can't even,
Well, and you said that, I know that ran for almost a month or maybe a little bit longer, but on February 24th, they kicked off. Prior to that, when did you know your sectors, right? When did you know your lanes that you guys were going to go?
Well, yeah, we kind of, it moved all the way until it was all the way till it was go, and the last like 16 hours prior to the ground, there was a big swing. I mean, we we went from one area all the way to another area. The first tanks was with us out of the first tank division, the Army. Task Force Rippers.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, so we were Task Force Rippers, who we were.
Oh, you were? No kidding.
Yeah, we were Task Force Ripper, and but prior to us going through the breach, we were at Khafji. That's the first time we engaged the Republican Guards, and that's when the Republican Guards came with their turns to the rear, which is an international sign of surrender, and then turned around and opened up fire on us. That was a bad day for the Republican Guard.
Yeah, right. You guys, I was just reading how the Marines just tore through Khafji and all the way up through there, right?
Yeah. Nobody could have stopped us.
Did you see the streams of Iraqis giving up? Did you drive by them?
Yeah. And they were yellow and cowardly. They're cowards. They were cowards. But in fairness to them, they just got their ass whooped.
They just got bombed for 30 days.
They just got bombed for 30 days. I mean, they were
right.
Shit, I don't take a shower now for a day. I'm like, oh, what the fuck is wrong? Yeah. So
I was struck. I remember after the war that I was at Fort Hood at that time, which is where the 2nd Armored was, which is I think 1st Brigade tied in with you guys.
Yeah. First.
They had set up some kind of, not necessarily a museum, but they had set up some displays of what it was like over there, and they showed some of the Iraqi equipment, and they built some mock bunkers. And I was surprised to see how small they were compared to us. Generally the Iraqi soldiers were, not fed as well, and they didn't grow as big, and they were smaller men, essentially.
Yeah.
And I read how, as you were moving forward, there were so many POWs that it was just like, just point to the rear and just walk, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a lot. It was worse than what's coming over the border right now. When I say worse, I mean it was just they were giving up. You knew they were done. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, Saddam kind of put them out there to die anyway. You know what I mean?
The defense
he didn't support them. He didn't, nothing. Yeah. So kind of just put them out there. So
he dug those tanks in and said, "You're on your own, boys." How many rounds do you think he fired?
You talking about from my M16 or from my?
No, from how many fire missions do you guys have?
Fire missions, no less than 200.
I was going to say, because you guys were moving so fast. I don't know how many times they had opportunity to set up and fire.
When I said, that was when we were prepping the battlefield.
Yeah.
But when we were moving, no, we weren't. No, it was we were rolling, and it was small arms. We weren't stopping to fire. We were we were going to kill the enemy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were going into Kuwait to go ahead. I mean, not just take Kuwait, but
drive them into the sea, essentially, right?
Yeah,
As much as you could.
Nothing would have stopped us, if we wanted to go into Baghdad or up into wherever else. You know what I mean?
Well, now the subsequent days, right? I know the first day felt sort of, well, maybe you guys moved so far so fast, but they counterattacked on the subsequent days, right? Did you get any? Did you feel any of that where you were?
No, we were moving so fast.
Oh, you were.
Okay. Yeah, because we did the flank. That flanking.
Yeah, you were down south, right? Coming up, coming up around, swinging up around,
sweeping up around, and I mean, we were there. Started on the 24th, and on the 27th.
Yeah, 100 hours, right?
Yeah, on the 27th we stopped, let the Kuwaitis catch up to us, and then we let the Kuwaitis catch up to us, and ceremonially let the Kuwaitis go in be in front of us.
Right.
On February 28th, when we had already kicked ass and took all the names.
Yeah, it's like, go ahead, go stand on the stage.
Go,
right.
And then the ground war ended February 28th, 1991. My 25th birthday. I was at the Kuwait Embassy. So,
wow,
that's the best birthday present ever.
Yeah, no kidding. Especially since you guys had just gone through all those months of, God drive you crazy, right? You're like, are we going to face our death? Are we going to? How nervous we're going to be? How much we're going to see? And then you finally get to where they call it. That had to be the biggest relief ever.
Oh man, it was.
So they called a war, and then now you're mopping up, I suppose, right? How long did you have to stay there after the war was done?
45 days, and then finally out of country.
Oh, that's not so bad. I know they stuck some Army units over there for like 6 months to a year to clean up,
Yeah, you guys normally relieve us, and and then we the deal.
Yeah, well, speaking of that, and that's going to dovetail nicely into Somalia, right?
Yeah. So we come back.
Oh, wait, before we leave that, what struck you the most about Desert Storm? That 4 days. Does anything stand out for you?
Stand out?
Real memorable, or something you don't want to remember?
What really stood out was our military might.
Okay. Yeah.
And our ability to move, react, navigate, and take on the enemy, and just kill the enemy.
To be able to see it, and you may be the last generation to have seen big maneuver war like that.
Yeah.
But to see it all work, and you're like, oh, it really does work.
It was. Yeah, I mean, to orchestrate that and to see the amount. I mean, the first tanks was with us, like I told you.
Yeah.
They did the flank. What I mean? They did the flanking, and first tanks rolled through our area for 9 hours.
God dang!
Between the tanks and the 5 tons and the water buffaloes, I mean, I'm just like, these motherfuckers don't know what's coming.
You were part of a military force that's never been seen on this planet.
Yeah, it was so to honestly, that was so impressive, and to see our military might at Khafji, see the F-16s coming in, the Warthogs coming, just the power, that was unleashed. So I hope that answered your question, Mark.
Absolutely, yeah, that's absolutely. I mean, but like I said, in perspective, I think it'll be rare that we ever have a big maneuver war like that. And I think you were part of that. In all respect to the World War II guys and what they were able to accomplish, the lethality of the force that you were part of, and never been seen in the world.
Yeah, it was.
They'd never seen an army like that.
When you hear them talk about shock and awe, I mean it was shock and awe.
Yeah. All right, so 45 days, they stick you back on the ship. And they say
actually, we got to fly back home. We got to fly.
Oh, you did? Yeah, lucky you.
Yeah.
After you had to railhead all your equipment, right?
Yeah. No, we got to fly back home. We flew into March, and They put us in these parades and stuff. And
Oh, did they really?
Yeah, or they tried. We only didn't. We only went in one,
Yeah.
and I had a very hard time with it because I didn't agree with how we treated people when they came back from Vietnam.
Right.
I didn't see myself as a hero. I just saw
Yeah.
myself as somebody that was in the Marine Corps that served his country during combat.
Well, and in all fairness, that was part of what turned the public around. I mean, because we saw the '80s, we knew the '80s. The early '80s were still pretty lousy for military, and I think thanks to Reagan and thanks to some other public shifts, they started coming around. Desert Storm was what I think really turned the public in the military's favor. So at least you got to see that.
And I kind of got a little miffed a little bit, sometimes because they always had rear echelon people that they was always showing on TV as I'm like,
I still get mad whenever I hear a politician is like, "Hey, I deployed to CENTCOM headquarters." I was like, "CENTCOM headquarters is in Florida."
Yeah.
what are you talking about? So
yeah, you weren't shitting where you were eating.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
And you weren't burning your own shit.
But only guys like us see that, because we know the details. And we're like, that guy didn't do anything. And my wife gets mad at me. Because I like, where did he deploy with? Who did he deploy with? JAG. He deployed with the JAG Corps.
Judge Advocate. He's one. Sounds like one JAG off.
Yeah. Many, actually. There was many. It was a
JAG off.
There's a JAG off circle, if you will. So how they gave you an unintended downtime. When did you get back to it? And Somalia's looming, right? Probably the next year. So this is like 91. We're talking 91, right?
Yeah, 92. Yep. And so we had a lieutenant colonel that missed Desert Storm. I'm Artie unit, and he missed Desert Storm, and he did not want to miss Mogadishu. So we're like, come on, man, we're done. I get out in '93. I'm supposed to get out in July of '93. Anyway, so our lieutenant colonel puts us up to go to Mogadishu as an infantry battalion. So first time.
You're kidding! So that was like an in lieu of order. So you just you're not even doing your primary MOS there.
Correct. We deployed. We deployed to Somalia as a infantry.
Wow. And that was Was it a UN mission at the time?
Yes, it was. It was Operation Restore Hope.
Oh yeah.
And the mission changed multiple times when we were in Mogadishu. When we first got there, it was to support grain getting to the UN Red Cross.
The relief efforts, right?
It was the relief efforts, right? Because the pirates and Adid and all his skinnies were, basically
right.
Eating cot all day and taking all the grain, and the people with the most weapons would have all the grain.
Yeah, it was warlords going on over there, right?
Correct.
So this is going to be interesting. I'm going to stop you before you go into this, because most of us, especially me, I was Army at the time, but most of America only knows Somalia from Black Hawk Down.
And that's such bullshit.
And I read the guy's book, and if you start at the beginning, his book starts when the Rangers take over from the Marines.
When I say it was bullshit, what I mean by it is, and I mean no disrespect to my brothers.
No.
What I'm saying is that's all anybody remembers is that.
Right.
Black Hawk Down, and I'm like, guys, do you even know what happened? And
that led up to it. Yeah.
That led up to it. I mean, when we got in country, the UN peacekeeping force was the Pakistanis.
Golly, really?
You want to talk about
how was dealing with those guys, man?
Oh my gosh! So the Pakistanis had the Somalis inside of every perimeter, and when it was the first amphibious landing, marine amphibious landing since the Korean War. CNN was on the beach and all that bullshit. Anyway. Yeah. So
Huh.
we get in country, and we get there, and the Pakistanis, it's like they had the Somalis inside of every perimeter, and we're just like, oh, they got AKs,
Yeah.
they got mortars. These aren't your fucking buddies. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
And so we immediately so they had them inside. So we were at the airport. We also had K7. We also had the port. We also had the embassy, and we also had the soccer field.
Okay.
That
All right.
soccer field on Black Hawk Down that they ran to.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
and where they ran from was 15 miles. They don't run 15 miles.
No, they used to call that the Mogadishu mile because it was like it wasn't 15 miles. It may have been a mile, but I don't know.
Yeah. So so when we got into Mogadishu, like I said, the initial push was to ensure grain shipments got to the Red Cross distribution centers, and to secure not just the port, but to secure those areas. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
And it's exactly what we did. You see on Black Hawk Down that Bakara market.
Yeah.
Remember Bakara market?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. That was a big part of the battle there, actually.
So our first time down Bakara market. Now that's where they do all their trading of their food, whatever food they had, and it's basically their main distribution facility for commerce. When we go in there, now we're in 5 tons of mechanized, we're in Hummers, right?
Yeah.
Our first time down Bakara market, we couldn't even go 3 miles an hour.
It was that crowded, right? Is that full?
Thank you. Yeah, it was. We couldn't even go 3 miles an hour.
Oh, jeez.
And there was people everywhere. There was, Somalis everywhere. There was It was just not a good scene.
Tension's pretty high there. White knuckling that
M16. No, at the time I wasn't a guy that wore glasses.
Yeah.
And I have trigesiums in my eyes because I didn't want to give anybody any opportunity to rake my face or anything.
Yeah.
But I'm in the Hummer, and Gunny Condi who was in the passenger side, front passenger of the Hummer. He has these Oakleys on, and a Somali rakes his face for the Oakleys.
Oh yeah. Oh wow.
He hit that skinny in the back with the M203, killed 5 of them.
Oh my God! Really?
Right?
Really?
No, it was like, right?
Yeah, that was Wild West.
Huh?
Wild West out there.
Yeah, exactly. So I always tell the story this way. The first day we were going down there 3 miles an hour. Next day, 15, 25, 30 miles an hour. However fast we want to go through Bakara.
Yeah.
The cowards were.
Oh, come on. Right when it was getting good. I don't know what happened there, so. Now I lost your picture. Okay. Now you're frozen. Right. There we go.
Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem.
So
the first time when they hadn't seen you, right? The only ones that they had really seen were Pakistanis. Now the U.S. Marines come rolling through.
They had never seen a Marine.
And so they were like, well, we'll treat them the same way, right?
Exactly. And we set the tone early.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I understood, is that you guys kind of had it in order, and it wasn't until the handoff to the Rangers. Now, no offense against the Rangers, it's whatever the leadership was, right?
Well, yeah, I don't mean to cut you off, Marty, but
no, I'm sorry.
So we secured that, and that first mission was done. Okay, we got all the grain, everything, and we had these guys on lockdown.
Yeah,
and then it switched into, now we got to go disarm the Somalis.
Ugh.
So now we got to put sea bags on our back and go door to door and disarm the Somalis. Now, the weapons that we were disarming were all Russian-made weapons, sickle and hammer.
Yeah. Oh, really? Really?
Pistols.
Yeah.
AKs with the Marine with the sickle and hammer on it. And when you're sitting in Mogadishu, Africa, and you have a Russian-made weapon that you're taking off skinnies in Mogadishu, Somalia, you're like, okay, one, this shit is real. I mean, Russians do sell weapons.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but also, it also brings in the reality that we sell weapons. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, they're not, I don't fault the Russians. When I say I don't fault them, I mean we do the same thing.
Oh, right.
And
Right.
we're still do we still arm
We do.
combatants.
Yeah, we do.
We
Yeah.
still arm people that are sticking up for democracy, and I understand that and I support it.
Yeah, sure.
But as an American, that remember when Russia was Russia,
Yeah.
not what it is today. That was pretty eye opening.
Sure. We're not. We're a couple of years away from or removed from the Cold War. Right?
Yeah. So the wall had just come down in
Yeah.
Berlin, like 5 years prior or whatever.
So
Anyway.
all that attitude didn't just go away when the wall came down.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was still aggressive attitude towards each country. So
Exactly. So so we going door to door. We're sea bags full. Even through the Bakara market. Taking away weapons. And we got that done. So
were
that
they
was
were they resistant? Whichever was everyone resistant to give up their weapons, or
if they were, it wasn't a good day for them.
oh, all right.
I mean,
So maybe they learned after the first couple. They're like, okay, maybe we just
shit gets when we open up a 60 cal on you,
yeah,
and we call in some warthogs, fire support.
Yeah, it's like here, take it. Right.
We pop some 203s at you.
Well, it's just like what you said. From day one to day two, now they know what they're dealing with. So
yeah,
it's not the same ball game.
Yeah, it was the rules of engagement were engage.
Yeah.
So
wow.
so we got done with that part of it, and then it was a foot patrol, going on foot patrol, door to door, seeking out the bad guys and seeking out people that are trying to hide their weapons, and and that's when I lost Domingo Arroyo.
So let's tell. Yeah, I was just about to bring him up.
So we got ambushed by 3 15-year-old Somalis, left flank, right flank, direct front.
On a foot patrol?
Yeah, on foot patrol at night. And, Domingo and I were very, very good friends. Domingo and I served in Desert Storm together. We were at Lawton together. He was FDC.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, he was FDC for us in COM.
Yeah.
Puerto Rican from New York. And, whoever listens to the podcast, you want to look up Domingo Arroyo, that was Domingo Arroyo, Arroyo. Rest in peace, brother.
Domingo Arroyo Jr.
Domingo Arroyo Jr.
Yeah.
So when we got ambushed by these Somalis, I had 5 months left in the Marine Corps, and Domingo had 3. Okay.
But he was the only casualty. He was the only casualty in that engagement.
Correct, and that's as we were talking about earlier, about Black Hawk Down and what people remembered. I mean that, all this stuff that I just described happened, prior to.
Yeah. Right.
And this was over an 8-month period. And
you were there for 8 months?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Jeez.
And I'd rather do another year in Saudi than another day in Mogadishu.
Really?
Yeah. Their lack of respect for human beings, and so
for their own people, right?
For their own people. I mean, I watched them fight. I watched 5-year-olds fight with 75-year-olds for some crack MREs. I mean, and they would fight to the death for food. I mean, it was sad. I felt bad for them, but and they had to. So, like I said, it started off with us, the Marines, making sure that the grain shipments got from the port to the distribution centers for the Red Cross for feeding, the relief effort for Restore Hope, and then we went into disarming the Somalis, and then patrolling the streets and starting to find Fahar Edid. Looking for Edid,
the warlord, right?
Door to door. Now, after losing Domingo, General Johnson was our commanding general. Les Aspin was the Secretary of Defense.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
And Oakley was the UN ambassador for the U.S. excuse me, it was the UN ambassador, for the U.S. in Mogadishu, and I was in the room when General Johnson was talking to Secretary of Defense Aspen, and Aspen and Oakley said to General Johnson, said, "Hey, great job. You and your Marines have secured Mogadishu. Mogadishu is secured. You and the Marines have done a great job." And he said, "We'd like for you to stay back under UN command." I'll say it again. He said to the Marine General, "I would like," he said, "you secured Mogadishu. I would like for you and your Marines to stay back under UN command." Immediately, without even blinking, General Johnson said, "With all due respect, Secretary of Defense, you said that the Marines have secured Mogadishu, correct?" He said, "Yes." And he said, "You want me to stay back under your command?" He said, "I will not stay back under anybody's command. My Marines will not stay back under anybody's command other than a Marine general.
Yeah.
If you want somebody to stay back under your command, you ask those fucking Army generals to stay back.
Yeah.
Me and my Marines, we're out of here."
Good man. Good man for saying it.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Our Army, we never had any really generals that took care of us that way. You know what I mean?
So they went and they asked, I believe it was the Mountain Division out of New York. I forget what it's.
10th Mountain.
I believe it's 10th Mountain.
Yeah. 10th Mountain came over there. Yeah.
I believe 10th Mountain stayed back under us. I mean, under UN command. So
okay,
we landed LaGuardia. So we demobilized. So we're demobbing out. We're mobbing out. We landed LaGuardia. Black Hawk down.
As soon as they knew, fast?
As soon as they knew, as soon as they knew, as soon as they knew,
wow,
that UN was in command, they organized and they attacked.
Now let me ask you this. Before, because we all know the story. Like I said, I've read the book. I thought it was a great book. There was a lot of things not in the movie that were in the book. And one of those things, and the book does a good job of pointing out a lot of the faults of, I think it was Garrison and the hasty plan that they came up with. But do you think that the Somalis knew this transition was happening and maybe set this up to bait the U.S. to come in and take on the Army rather than take on the Marines? That's a far-fetched idea, but now that you're talking, maybe they did do something like that.
Well, I will tell you that they had no fear of the Pakistanis, and they knew
sure. Right.
And they knew the UN was nothing but a bunch of pussies.
Yeah.
Non-engagement, peace, love.
Yeah, and they've never been charged with
peace,
anything.
love, unicorns, and rainbows.
Right.
Now, and to the Army's defense, they were put in a bad spot.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
They were put in a bad spot because they stayed back under UN command, but they agreed to it.
Yeah, and there was a little bit of glory seeking, I think, by some of the leaders of the Army there, to kind of rush into doing some of these big deeds, which ultimately got them into some hot water.
Yeah. So, I was done after Mogadishu. I lost my Marine. I lost Domingo.
And he was the first American killed in Somalia.
Correct. My Marine, my patrol.
Was he the only Marine you guys lost over there?
Our unit, yes.
Okay. God darn.
Yeah. So.
You both PFCs at the same time?
Lance corporals.
Lance corporals. Sorry.
Because when we came back from Saudi, we had a little bit too much fun and we got in trouble and we got. Let's just say we got piss tested and lost rank.
But stayed in, so that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a nice little sojourn there. But you're going to earn it back, right?
Yep.
Damn, that's that had to be tough. You still carry it, obviously, with you, right?
Yeah. Rest of my life. I mean, I carry it with me now. I mean,
sure. But it wasn't necessarily like, hey, we turned the wrong way and this happened. It was just they ambushed you, right?
Yeah, we got in the alley, and I mean, the only way out was the way we came in, and he got hit in the head with a 50 cal. Yeah,
Golly, well,
yeah,
uh, um, well, good on you, Domingo Arroyo, and thanks for telling the
absolutely.
story.
Rest
Thanks
in
for
peace,
telling the
brother.
story. That's great. Is he? Do you know where he's buried at?
Yeah, he's buried at home in his Puerto Rico, where
Oh,
he was
okay,
born. Yeah.
okay. All right, so yeah, you're 2 years mobilized now, about right?
Yeah, I spent about 36 months of 48 months,
Golly,
in combat or
yeah,
in the shit,
yeah.
so to speak.
Jeez. Be nice to get back to some running water for a change, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So when'd you get back? When'd you get back to March?
I'm sorry.
When'd you fly back into March Air Force Base?
So we got back into March and right around February timeframe of
February of 90,
90,
90,
92, 90, no,
90
93. I got out in July
93.
93, so 93.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I got out July 31st, 1993.
Did you know at that time? Was your enlistment about up?
Yeah, yeah. Because like I said, I think I had 6 months, 4 months. When Domingo had 3 months, I had 6 months left, and he got. I'm trying to remember. Was it January? Yeah, January 12th, I believe. When Domingo, I believe it was
Yeah.
January.
Yeah. So no thought of re-upping
Not a chance. Not a
after
chance.
what you say, after what you went through?
Yeah, not a chance. Highly motivated, highly, dedicated, but yeah, I was done. I was
Yeah,
done.
that's a lot. That's a lot to ask.
And I was 27. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so you got out, what'd you say, June of 93?
July '93,
July
and then
93.
went right to work in Vegas. I lived in Vegas for about 28 years, and
Okay. All right. So nobody trying to talk you out of it? Nobody like
no, I
yeah.
wouldn't have listened to him anyway.
Yeah, you were done.
Yeah, yeah.
You
When you
know,
go
no reserve time, you just got straight out?
so 2 years inactive, but I never,
Oh, okay. Yeah, IRR. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Well, damn. That's looking back, right? What are your thoughts on your career looking back? I mean, geez, it was a career dominated by two separate wars. Crazy.
Yeah. Looking back, obviously honored, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Obviously, grateful to be alive,
Yeah.
but still, you know, knew and felt like there's a lot of bad people out there.
Yeah,
And,
the world's a nasty place when you get out of the states, you know.
and looking back at it, I learned a lot about things that a lot of people would never even understand.
Sure. Sure. And well, you also saw some things how man can be to another man, right? The
Yeah, yeah,
the horrors that they can do to one another.
correct.
Um, what was your I mean, other than that patrol with Arroyo, right? And some of the other big highlights that you said. Did you have any moments in there that you were just like, "Hey, this is a beautiful spot," or "This was a beautiful thing I saw," or no, it's just a nasty world for
No,
everybody.
where I was, it was just like, get me. I can't. I got to get through this. We got
Yeah,
to get through this. We got to get
yeah.
home. Now I will say, Mogadishu. I bet you at some point, because it's right on the ocean, at some point it was probably a beautiful city, but you know,
Well,
like
yeah, when it was occupied by the European countries, probably it was.
correct,
Yeah,
correct.
you
But
know.
yeah, I'm not.
I made that comment. I was talking to some friends the other day, and for the last 30 years, when you see the Middle East, it's just crumbling buildings, and you're like, when were those buildings any good? I'm like,
Right,
oh, when the British and the French were in there,
correct.
building all that stuff. So, wow, wow. What's the proudest moment you had of your career? What's your proudest moment? Getting home alive.
Getting home alive.
Yeah.
And only losing Domingo Arroyo.
Golly.
Through all that. Only have one Marine casualty. Make it through Desert Storm.
Through 2 wars, yeah, right.
Make it through Mogadishu.
Especially with all the accidents that can happen. Not even purposeful engagements, but accidents
Correct.
that can happen. Jeez.
Friendly fire. I mean, CB's almost killed me twice.
Vehicle rollovers, the waddies, right? The waddies over there had to be treacherous.
Yeah.
So, and still there was a whole ton of mines even after the war. I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God. Would you tell your kids to go in now?
You know what? It's a great question. My son, so I have a son my birthday's February 28th, as everybody knows, and my son's February 27th.
Oh wow.
And if my son wanted to go in the military, it's a great question, because I used to tell everybody, I don't understand how you don't go in combat during wartime, or how you would ever avoid going to defend your country, in war.
Yeah,
until I did it twice.
Right.
It's not glamorous. I still carry the scars. I have PTSD. I've
Welcome back.
Yeah, I said I carry the scars. I mean, I'm on my second marriage. I drank too much. I've got some issues that I'm dealing with, that I'm finally dealing with at 57.
Good for
as
you.
it pertains to PTSD and alcohol. So to answer your question, I know my son. If my son's anything like me, he's going to do what he feels strongly about.
We all do at that age, right?
You know what I mean? So, I mean, I would just hope that he would, if he wants to go in the military, that he goes in, not open contract, that he
get
does,
a job, get a contracted job before you go in, right?
Yeah, get a contracted job, and it needs to correlate with something when you get out.
Would you have rather been infantry?
Would I have rather been infantry? Yeah.
Really? Rather than the artillery?
Well, I mean,
you did them both.
I did
one
them both.
more you were artillery, one more you were infantry. So
yeah, I did them both. I'm gonna.
And everybody knows Marines are all infantry at the heart, right? Yeah.
Yeah, basic rifleman, correct.
Yeah. Well, I've got, if you'll allow me, I've got a more pressing question, actually, that I just thought of. So, as we've been doing this podcast, I've been doing this long form podcast going on the 4th year. But we've also do a weekly podcast where, we talk to a lot of veterans and veteran groups, and we're having more representatives of veteran groups come on and trying to advocate for mental health and veteran outreach, right? And I have always said, because I've known enough veterans too, is that yes, there are a slew of groups out there that are just desperate for veterans to come out. But if you take the average veteran, especially after he's seen maybe what you've seen, he'll sit at home and just like, I don't want to go jack with that. I don't want to go out there. How do you reach the guys, if anybody listens to this, right, who's thinking, hey, I just got out, I don't want to go be a part of VFW or American Legion. I don't want to go, I don't want to be that guy. Maybe he's sitting and stewing too much and not really doing himself any good. How do you, going through what you have gone through, how do you reach out to somebody like that? If they hear you talk, what would you say to them to make them convinced to go, hey, go and get some help, or go out and socialize, or get out of your house,
Well, I would tell them that the enemy is in your mind.
No. Yeah.
You got to get out of your feelings. and get around people that can love on you and care for you, and that you can have fellowship with. You don't have to go to the VFW or American Legion to drink.
Right.
You can go around others that have similar backgrounds that you can have fellowship with and talk to and talk with and walk with.
Yeah.
But more importantly, God is our Savior. I'm a believer in Jesus Christ. I believe that God does have a son, and that his son did die for me.
Yeah.
I would really recommend getting involved in a church or a small group, or really get around like-minded people that are going to help you move forward from a perspective that is more fellowship and challenge to grow and learn and have love and support. We need love. We need fellowship. We need to be able to talk to somebody.
Yes, somebody who understands.
Somebody who understands.
And I've mentioned that before too, because like my wife will say, "Well, you got to talk to somebody." I was like, there's a difference of talking to somebody and then talking to somebody who can identify with what you're saying. Like, hey, I chewed the same dirt, right? As you Marines say. I get it, and it's easier to talk to somebody like that who has a likewise experience.
Yeah, I made the mistake, and I've made the mistake of not doing what I just said.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, whether it's about combat or loss of a brother or loss of a sister or loss of a mother or loss of a father, or you know what I mean. What I would really say to the veteran community is find somebody that you can have fellowship with and talk with and talk to, and share your struggles, share your challenges, because the devil is in your mind, and the devil is in your mind, and the devil wants to divide you. The devil wants to defeat you.
And the more you sit at home alone with the lights off, that's his playground, right? That's the devil's playground.
Absolutely.
Because it'll make you think screwed up. God, that's great. That's great advice. That is great advice, Sam. And I'm glad you said it, knowing that you went through it and you got yourself out of that.
I'm going through it right now.
Yeah.
I'm going through it right now.
Right. Well, I hope this can help. I hope this helped.
It does, and this is therapeutic for me, and that's why I told you, Marty, I wanted to do this, and I'm so honored and blessed. So thank you for this.
Did we get it all? Did we get all of it?
No.
I know we could talk some other stuff, but we'll just do this one for now, and then we'll get some later chapters where you can tell me some more stuff.
I appreciate it, Marty. And I'd just like to say this. If God is for us, who can be against us?
Can't be beat.
So, and look at this little boy. Look at Lucas. Say hi.
Look at Lucas. Hello. How are you?
He's bringing me a hamburger. Thank you, son.
Oh, wow. That's really
good. So he's going to be, Lucas, tell me how old you're going to be at the end of the month. 6.
Congratulations. That's a big 6.
Yeah.
You going to play football like your dad?
Yeah. Aww.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Marty.
Lance Corporal Samuel Myers, it's been an honor and a privilege to get your story. Thank you for telling me.
And then there's Abigail.
Hi, Abigail.
Hi.
Are you putting up with your little brother there?
I didn't
Yeah.
see.
Well, thank you so much.
On behalf of Lance Corporal Myers, I'd like to thank you for listening today. I hope you enjoyed the show, and if you did, please leave a like and a comment and share the podcast with someone else. And as always, make sure to download the next episode for more service origin stories. So until next time, on your feet, dismiss!